Yo, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of World of with CC. As always, I'm your host. And on today's episode, you might be wondering where I was last week. Well, that's because for those of you who tap into sports a lot, well, not NBA, regular season just ended on Sunday. And if you're watching this, obviously it'll be on Tuesday, but I'm recording this on Monday, a day after the regular season has ended. So I wanted to get a little play-in preview episode and a little bit of playoff preview out before this week's official episode. So a lot of interesting scenarios happened yesterday. There was a three-way tie for the number one seed in the Western Conference, which is now held by the Oklahoma City Thunder, followed by the Denver Nuggets, and in third is the Minnesota Timberwolves. Along with that, the Phoenix Suns have crept in to stay afloat and above the play-in spot in seventh, which is now held by the New Orleans Pelicans, and behind them is the Los Angeles Lakers, and ninth is the Sacramento Kings, and in 10th in the Western Conference is Golden State Warriors. And on the east side, obviously, my team, Boston Celtics, we clutched that number one seed at 64-18, followed by the Knicks, who overtook the Bucks last game of the season for second, and the Bucks, who are in third, followed by the Cleveland Cavaliers, who had a little bit of a kind of end of season drop off in fourth, and the Orlando Magic are in fifth, followed by the Indiana Pacers, and the Philadelphia 76ers and Heat round out those top spots, followed by the Chicago Bulls and the Atlanta Hawks in 9th and 10th. Now, before we get into it, as far as like the matchups that are set in stone, tomorrow, which is Tuesday, we have the Lakers and the Pelicans. They'll be playing again. They played on Sunday to kind of figure out who was going to, get what spot, because the Suns kind of needed some help if they were going to stay out of that playing spot, which is 7 and 8 for those of you who don't know. But yeah, so they played on Sunday. They're going to play again tomorrow. And not necessarily a winner go home scenario, but whoever wins, they'll take over seventh. And then the loser of that game has to play the winner of 9 and 10, which will be against either the Sacramento Kings or the Golden State Warriors. So starting with the Pelicans-Lakers game, I ain't gonna lie. I have a good amount of friends who are Lakers fans, so I'm not about to disrespect them on the show, but I got the Lakers. Brandon Ingram did play yesterday, but I still feel like the Pelicans, they don't have enough. Well, I'm not gonna say they don't have enough. They have enough talent for like a one game type of situation, but you got the Lakers, LeBron James, Anthony Davis, Adam Silver. I doubt he's going to let them fight for that last spot again, even though they've been in the play-in these last couple of years anyway. So I'm like, he might make a few calls, get the officiating on their side. But anyway, I got the Lakers. Sorry, Pelicans fans, any of you who are watching this. Respect Zion. I respect Brandon Ingram, Herb Jones, all those guys, great players, but I'm going to have to side with the Lake Show on this one. And then the other Western Conference matchup for the play-in, you got Nuggets. I said Nuggets. You got Warriors and Kings. This is tricky because the Kings are not a great team. Like, everybody always want to loud Sabonis's triple doubles and double doubles and whatnot, but that team is just, there's something off about that team, whether it's they don't have the defense. And it's crazy because literally a year ago, they were a top 3 seed and they played not the same Warriors, but they played this kind of same iteration of the Warriors to an extent in a 7-game series, which they could have easily won. But, in the playoffs, experience kills. And that's exactly what happened. Curry and them boys, send them home. But I'm gonna rock with Curry again on this one. As much as I hate him for, you can see my shirt right here. I'm gonna get up a little bit. That 2022 NBA Finals against my Celtics. Yeah, I know a lot of trolling went on during that series. Like Tatum stunk it up. Yeah, we get it. It's 2 years in the future. We know you don't got to keep posting the clip everywhere. But I got Curry. Now this Warriors team is not good either, but I still feel like they have something left in the tank, and this might be one of the last shots for the Warriors to actually, make a run. Because as long as you got 30 and with the ball in his hands, like there's no telling what's gonna happen. So I got Warriors and Lakers. Warriors, if they win, they'll obviously send the Kings home in a win or go home situation. And if the Lakers, they win, they will obviously move on to the 7th seed and be locked in with a date with the Denver Nuggets. Isn't that lovely? But with that being said, then the next game, which would be for the 8th spot, it's Warriors and Pelicans. I'm thinking I want to lean Warriors again, but I also know that the Pelicans, they have a lot of versatile defenders that they can throw at the Warriors. Even though Klay Thompson has been playing better ball as of late, I don't know if he can, add another element that the Warriors have been missing for majority of the season in scoring to, kind of even the playing field. So I'm going to have to stop with the Pelicans. And with the Pelicans winning, that would mean they would have faced up with the Oklahoma City Thunder, who are the 1 seed. So that wraps up the West. Now for the East, I'm not gonna hold you. Like, I really don't care who comes out of the plan for the East, but for the sake of this video, I'm gonna say it anyway. So for the 7th and 8th spots, which would be Miami versus Philly, or Philly versus Miami, because Philly the 7th seed and Miami the 8th seed. I'm gonna go Philly. There's literally nobody on the Heat that can stop Joel Embiid. He did play yesterday, so that kind of, put a little bit more strain on his body, but I'm pretty sure he's going to be fully ramped up and ready to go, seeing as this is not a do or die situation, but he does have to right some playoff wrongs, as he's never been to a conference finals in his career so far. So getting his mind right in the playoff mode a little bit early. Granted, he does have to play an additional game, but you win, then you're off for 3 days, and they don't even play on Saturday anyway. So you win, you're off for a couple of days, and you get to gear up for your next playoff matchup, which would be against the Knicks if they do end up winning against the Heat. And then the Bulls and Hawks, whoever wins that game, as much as I don't like the Heat because of past playoff failures that the Celtics have endured against them, the Heat are going to beat either one of those teams. And now I know Trae Young has come back for the Hawks, but that's kind of like pointless. They should be gearing up ready for the lottery. Like, I don't know why they have teams who are like 4.5, 5.5 games back from actually winning records in the play-in. Like, I was telling somebody this not a couple days ago, like a couple hours ago, that the plan should be, if you don't have the games back requirement, it should just be the top teams that have a positive record that are in those 7th and 8th spots. Now, the West this year was obviously very deep, seeing as the Warriors, even though they are the 10th seed, they did have a positive record. And even the Rockets, who were eliminated from playoff playing contention, they still went 41-41, while like the Hawks and the Bulls, like both of those teams are like, their win percentage, well, not win percentage, but like their win, the number of wins they have is like 36, 34. Like, that's pointless. But yeah, I really don't care who wins those games. with that game because I feel like the Heat would still beat them anyway. But even if the Heat do lose, that just makes it that much easier to, wrap up our series in the first round, whether it be the Bulls or the Hawks. And I do think this year, as we have like a more of a complete team, the bench is good. Obviously, we added Porzingis. I feel like we're sweeping the Bulls, and I would say we sweep the Hawks, but I'm gonna give the Hawks one because Trae Young is a great player. Now, granted, he was out with an injury these last couple of weeks, but he's coming back, so he'll obviously be ready to go come Wednesday. That's when the Eastern Conference playing games take place. But I'll give them one win, and then the Heat, I'll give them a win as well. That series is not going beyond 5 games. Like, I'm so serious. But yeah, so if everything that I just stated goes and holds true, it will be the Celtics versus the Heat, which I do believe the Heat will make it out of the play-in, whether they lose to the Sixers or not, because they're just a better team than the Bulls and the Hawks. And the Sixers will be playing against the New York Knicks. And for the playoff games that are happening on Saturday, which I believe is the Suns versus the Timberwolves, and give me 1 second, let me check. And then we have Magic and Cavs. Now, that Magic and Cavs series, that is a very interesting series. Not because the teams are like, oh, they're really good. Now, the Magic, I will say, they have a really good defense. I believe it was top 5 in the entire association this year. So they do have that going for them. But, like, their half-court offense is just not good. And I don't think that's going to change all of a sudden just because they're playing against a team like the Cavs, who, by the way, have been in the rumor mill as of late because depending on what goes down in these offs, they're probably going to blow that roster up and they're going to have to start from scratch. So while I do have some concerns about the Cavs, I still think that because the Magic, they don't have any three-point shooting, and even though their defense can take care of a lot of things, I feel like they're still not going to be able to, keep up with the offensive intensity that, granted, yeah, the Cavs are not a great offensive team, but they do have something in their favor, and that's Donovan Mitchell being able to score in a half court. And it's kind of funny because the Cavs, that's one of those teams where it's like, you could say they have a roster where it's just a bunch of, I'm not going to say a bunch of guys because no disrespect to Darius Garland and Jared Allen. Those are very solid players. But most of the time, like, I turn on a Cavs game and watch, it's just the Donovan Mitchell show. Like, they'll pass him the ball, he'll go crazy. And then some games, they're just passing the ball around, looking for whoever really wants to take a shot, because whoever just had it that you just received a pass from is hesitant. But yeah, I'm going to say Cavs being a higher seed. I'm going to say in 6, but I wouldn't be surprised if the Magic went in 6. And that's kind of like a toss-up. It's a pick your poison kind of matchup. Now with the Suns and Timberwolves, that series is very interesting because the Suns are not a good team. Like, you could say all you want, like, they have Kevin Durant, they have Devin Booker, they have Bradley Beal. Like, what you mean are not a good team? Like, their bench is horrible. They have not that great defenders, or you can just throw bodies on players. But, like, if you're a star or better, you're probably going to just shrug those guys off. But, like, up against a team like the Timberwolves, are the best defensive team in the league. You have Ant, you have Jaden McDaniels, you have Cat, who is a decent enough rim protector. And obviously you have Mr. 3-time Defensive Player of the Year himself looking for a fourth, Rudy Gobert, leading the helm on that side of the ball. And then also you have Mike Conley, who's a very underrated defensive guard or point of attack defender. So that team should pose problems for a team like the Suns, who they have three-level scorers that don't really mesh, but they can get buckets anywhere on the floor. But it's like, if Timberwolves play with their food and they feel like, okay, we can, neutralize Beal and try to slow down KD and Devin Booker, for real, this is a series where the Suns, they're going to get whatever they want, for real. Like, they love taking tough shots. That's not anything that is going to change. But the question is, will the Timberwolves try to force them to make? Will the Suns try to force the Timberwolves to take those types of shots too, because they know they can go shot for shot with them? But the Timberwolves, they got to realize, being a higher seed, like, yo, you have home court advantage for this round. Make sure you know that the Suns, you want them to play your game. Like, go hard on the defensive glass, box out, don't let shooters stay open. Grayson Allen just got an extension, so he's going to try to justify them paying him that money. So don't let him get hot at some point. But like, that's one thing. Like, you really don't want to make the series go longer than it has to. But me personally, I'm taking Timberwolves. I'll take them in 6. Now, it could go 7 if somebody just has a crazy game, and like, I'm not going to say that game would end in a blowout, but like, it would be one of those games where said player goes crazy and the opposing team just has no answer for them, or if they do have an answer for them, it's just not enough. So yeah, I'm going to go Timberwolves in 7. Well, Timberwolves in 6, could go to 7. And then if it goes to 7, I'm not going to lie, I would take the Suns if it goes 7. But I'm still picking the Timberwolves in a comfortable 6, where the games, some of the, like, maybe 1 or 2 games are close, but the rest of the series is just, they're just the better team. They have the better roster, and they're more capable of, putting this team to bed early. But yeah, that's all I got for y'all today. This play-in preview episode and this first round, pre-first round matchups as the playoffs start on Saturday. But as always, take a chance, take a gamble. As long as you roll the dice, it's all good. We out.